Hello viewers, you welcome to News Review Hour on Jamano Media and Products with your presenter Mariama Gillen. We now begin with our headlines. Gambians held in Senegal release. Manjai man on trial for rape girl. United Democratic Party reveals evidence of election malpractice. Gambia Democratic Congress tells government to stay out of Casamas conflict. ECOWAS must end coup d'etats, said by the chairman. The Independent Electoral Commission starts issuing nomination papers to aspiring National Assembly members. Speaker Jack Denton says 2017 to 2022 is test for parliamentary democracy. Those were the headlines. We now have the news in detail. The Minister for Tourism, Yankuba Sonko, has confirmed that the 3 Gambians arrested by Senegalese economic forces in Fonyi in the wake of the January 24th fighting with separatist MFDC rebels are alive and have been released. The trio was reported to have been taken away to Dakar by the soldiers since their arrest on Monday. According to Minister Sonko, the trio Alkalo Modumbai Bojang of Karol village, Fabakari Boja also from Karol, and police CID officer Abdou Jambe have all been returned to the Gambia and have been kept at a safe place undergoing medical checkups before being reunited with their families. They all looked sound and healthy from outside, but he gave instructions for them to be medically checked too, Mr. Sonko said. He disclosed that the case of the 3rd man, Fabakari Boja, was not very well known, but he too was arrested in the wake of the same incident. The fate of the arrested Alkalo and the CID officer was the subject of concern among Gambians who expressed outrage about their arrest. The local National Assembly member, Musa Amulunyasi, also confirmed the return of the 3 men. They are all back. In fact, they are delighted that a 3rd one, whose case was not very well known, as released too, Mr. Nyasi told the Standard. On Wednesday, the Standard broke the news about the detention of the men in Dakar, Senegal. A man has appeared at the Banjul High Court accused of raping an 8-year-old girl in her mother's bed after he found her alone in the house watching television. The accused, Hamidu Fasiru, is charged with a count of rape. He is accused of forcefully having sex with the victim at Manjaikunda last May. However, when the charge was read to him in court before Justice Bakri, he pleaded not guilty, saying he did not accept the allegation. Following his denial, the victim's mother, named Ruth Hall, was called by the prosecutor Sekulami Jobate to testify. She said she was away when the incident took place at her house and was alerted by her neighbors that her daughter was assaulted. She said when she came home, her daughter was bleeding. She said she observed that blood was oozing from the little girl's private part, which continued for several days. She said her daughter told her that the accused sexually assaulted her and that when she took the young girl to the hospital for medical examination, a doctor confirmed she was raped and issued a medical report to the effect. The trial continues. Following 2 unsuccessful attempts to present evidence of its allegations of election malpractices in the court, the United Democratic Party began sharing its petition file with the public at a press conference held at party leaders' residence in Fajara. The party rejected the results of December 4th presidential polls and unsuccessfully sought to have it annulled at the Supreme Court on grounds of fraudulent acts by President Adama Barrow, his party and the election organization body. Addressing the media conference, Mr. Dabo began by stating that the election petition was not dismissed by the court as it is being peddled in many quarters. Rather, it was struck out, meaning it was not entertained, where was a missed opportunity for the Gambian people to know the evidence collected by the United Democratic Party. He said his party will call press conferences to give more evidences, including the illegal registration of voters by the Independent Electoral Commission. Reading from a long list of alleged illegal acts of the inducement of voters, Mr. Dabo disclosed that there have been at least 26 incidents of corrupt practices committed by President Adama Barrow or his agents with his knowledge during the election campaign period. He said this in dual and incidents on 9th November 2021 when $1 million was purportedly donated to Munyagen in support of the villagers' effort to build a health facility. Musa Drame was accompanied by the governor and CFO of Jokado district, who told the community that Adama Barrow had fulfilled his promise that he must have his ballot box filled with tokens. This event was captured by camera and photographs are available, and it was part of the documentary evidences, Mr. Dabo said. He further recounted that President Adama Barrow visited Jara Barokunda and gave out $100,000 to one Mr. Bayo as colonels, hereby entrusting himself to the villagers, and did not extend his generosity to the villagers in the preceding months before the declaration of the campaign period. In Kitty, at least total of $45,000 was again given to the youth of the village by Mr. Ahmad Jite in a bid to gather support for President Adama Barrow, while on 30th November 2021, a video in Sandu Misira revealed the distribution of $1 million masing by the National People's Party, at which presidential advisor Siaka Jata was heard cautioning the residents of Sandu Misira as follows: "The only thing that will stop you from having a tractor will be if the National People's Party and the President Adama Barrow lose the election." Mr. Dabo said. The United Democratic Party leader also revealed that another video was obtained showing $1 million machine being given to communities in Basse T. Johnson, purportedly donated by First Lady Fatouba Barrow, in which the alcalo of the village, Mr. Seluba, was introduced to the community as being part of the National People's Party campaign team, and his presence was that of a citizen of the community rather than as an alcalo. This, he said, happened on 25th November 2021. The United Democratic Party leader went on to make about a dozen more claims of voter endorsement by numerous public officials working in the name of Adama Barrow and the National People's Party. The opposition Gambia Democratic Congress has urged the Barrow government to stay out of the Kasama separatist conflict. A statement shared with the Standard read, "Every Gambian should stand up to demand that the government avoids dragging the country into the Senegal Kasama conflict. We believe the government's meddling in this matter could up the peace and stability of the country under serious threat. It is our position that no Gambian should bear the brunt of the Senegal Casamance conflict. We urge the government to stop aiding and abetting Senegal's disposition towards the Casamance separatist government," Gambia Democratic Congress said. The party restated its opposition to the continued presence of foreign forces in the country. The statement further added, "We have professional men and women in our national security forces. The Senegalese soldiers attached to the economic team have no mandate or operational right according to the ECOWAS protocol to get involved in the implementation of Gambia democratic laws. The Gambia is a sovereign nation, and its sovereignty is an absolute and dispensable right that must be observed and repeated by every individual, national, or society." The party expressed its delight at the release of 3 Gambians arrested in Fonyi, transported to and attained to Senegal by Senegalese forces in the aftermath of the fighting. "We hope that this latest show of inaptitude and irresponsibility by our government in protecting our citizens will not continue. We call on all Gambians to resist the government's attempts to drag the country into conflict that has nothing to do with us," the party added. ECOWAS Chairman President Nana Akufo-Addo has called for a strong commitment from West African leaders to end the resurgence of coup d'etats to avert the establishment of the region. Excellencies, the resurgences of coup d'etats in the region is a matter of grave concern. This evolution changes the democratic way of life we have chosen, and we need to stand firm to protect democracy and freedom in the region. Let's address this dangerous trend collectively and decisively before it devastates the whole region, President Akufo-Addo said yesterday at the opening of the bloc's extraordinary summit in Accra to deliberate on the political situation in Burkina Faso. The meeting will also examine the current situation in Guinea and Burkina Faso and the contagious efforts on the region. The religious bloc, which is grappling with terrorist attacks, insurgencies, and the COVID-19 pandemic, has experienced 3 military takeovers in the past 19 months, the latest being the January 24, 2022 coup d'etat in Guinea-Bissau, where armed forces demanded the sacking of military chiefs and more resources to fight jihadis, deposed 64-year-old President Roch Marc Christian Kabore. ECOWAS condemned the coup sternly and had asked the junta to return the country to constitutional rule. Guinea-Bissau says 11 killed in foil coup as it launches probe. Meanwhile, Guinea-Bissau has launched a major investigation into a foil attempt to overthrow President Umaru Sissoco Embalo, who survived a gun rising that claimed 11 lives according to the government. The government mourns the loss of 11 valiant men during the attack. 11 victims, soldiers and paramilitaries, 4 civilians, including a top agriculture minister official and his driver, government spokesman Farando Vaz said on Wednesday, who is also the West African country's tourism minister. Heavily armed men on Tuesday afternoon surrounded government buildings in the capital Bissau, where Embalo and his prime minister were believed to be attending a cabinet meeting. Embalo, 49, later told reporters that he had been unharmed during a 5-hour gun battle, which he described as a lot to wipe out the government in Guinea-Bissau, one of Africa's most unstable countries. At a news conference on Tuesday, Embalo said that assailants had tried to kill the president of the republic and the entire cabinet. The attackers could have spoken to him before these bloody events had seriously injured many and claimed lives, he added, appearing calm. The exact death toll from the attack and the identity and motives of the assailants remain unclear, but Embalo said the attack was linked to decisions he had taken to fight during trafficking and corruption. The Independent Electoral Commission has announced it will from today start issuing nomination papers for April 9th National Assembly elections. According to the Commission, the papers can be collected from its regional offices across the country from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. from today onwards, and all aspiring candidates are advised to collect papers from the regional offices of the region in which they intend to contest. Nomination of candidates for the said election will be held from 5th to 13th March 2022, a statement from the Independent Electoral Commission said. United Democratic Party to begin selection of candidates for National Assembly elections. Meanwhile, the United Democratic Party has announced it will conduct selection of its candidates for all 53 constituencies on the 15th February. This followed the closure of all applications on January 31st. According to a statement issued by the Deputy Organizing Secretary of the party, Ibrahim Adiba, the selection would be done by a committee comprising National Executive Committee members, 2 regional committee members from the region concerned, and 5 representatives of the constituency concerned. The statement further explained that all application letters received by constituency chairpersons should be submitted to their regional secretariat for onward submission to the national secretariat. No constituency should hold primaries to select a candidate. However, United Democratic Party supporters and officials in any constituency may discuss among themselves to build a consensus around a candidate, but cannot select a candidate by themselves. Where a consensus is reached over a single candidate, that should be communicated to the selection committee. But where there is no consensus around a single candidate, all applications must be forwarded to the regional secretariat, according to the statement. The United Democratic Party further explained that where the National Executive Committee decided to retain a sitting National Assembly member as candidate in a given constituency, this must be endorsed by the Constituency Committee, and in case there arises any disagreement on maintaining a sitting National Assembly member, there should be dialogue to resolve the matter. The Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of the Gambia, Honorable Mariam Jack Denton, has described the mandate of the 5th legislature as a great test for the young parliamentary democracy. She was speaking during the opening of the first ordinary session in the 2022 legislature year on Thursday, 3rd February 2021 in the parliamentary chambers in Banjul. The legislative term of the current members of the Assembly, which began in 2017, is coming to an end as parliamentary elections are scheduled for April 9th. Giving an account of some of their achievements during the period, Honorable Jack Denton recognized the tremendous work and commitment of the lawmakers in their respective oversight committee engagements during the plenary break. The legislative term from 2017 to 2022 has been a great test for our young parliamentary democracy. The mandate of parliamentary term has been busy for all of us, particularly for the new honorable members who have had much to learn and adopt. We have certainly had to hit the road running, she noted. Source from the National Assembly. Those were the stories for our today's newscast on the News Review. But before we take a leave of you, let's take a recap on our top stories. Gambians held in Senegal release. Manjai man on trial for rape of 8-year-old girl. United Democratic Party reveals evidences of election malpractice. Gambia Democratic Congress tells government to stay out of customers' conflict. ECOWAS must end coup d'etat, said by the chairman. The Independent Electoral Commission starts issuing nomination papers to aspiring National Assembly members. Speaker Jack Denton said 2017-2022 is test for parliamentary democracy. Those were the stories. Thank you for joining us with your presenter, Mariama Gillen. Do have a nice weekend.